How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Robert Arms. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this channel. Today, we're going to be talking about two of the most infamous platforms of debate amongst the gun community: the AR platform and the AK platform. Ever since their inception, the platforms have been on opposing sides of each other since the Vietnam War and still see combat use in theaters of war to this very day. It's been hotly debated amongst the gun community for many years now as to which weapon platform trumps the other. That's mostly because the majority of firearms owned by Americans are usually in these two platforms in their respective categories. So with that being said, which weapon platform is the most ideal? Many people have made arguments over the years over the advantages and disadvantages of either platform. Today, we'll go ahead and break that down. Now, before I begin, clearly y'all can see a difference in the weapon platforms that I'm presenting to y'all today. One of these weapons is clearly a little more modified than the other. I will not count the AR against the AK in this regard, and I will elaborate on that later. Representing my AR platform, I have an M4 carbine with a Block 1 style setup, and it's got an 8620 steel bolt carrier with a 158 Carpenter bolt inside of it, and it has an FN cold hammer forged barrel with chrome lining. Representing my AK platform here, I have a Soviet AKM parts kit that was rebuilt on an American-made receiver with a few minor upgrades. It has a forged trunnion, side dovetail mount, and also has a FN cold hammer forged barrel with chrome lining. Let's talk general accuracy. The argument can be pretty much broken down like this. Because the AR is chambered in the 5.56 by 45mm cartridge, its lighter weight, smaller diameter, and higher velocity makes it a superior cartridge over the AK's 7.62 by 39mm cartridge, which is a heavier and slower velocity round. So this is my view on it. You can pretty much find versions of either one of these platforms that are chambered in either cartridge. The AR has weapons like the Mutant or the AR-47 or whatever it's called. And the AK has its own platform, the AK-101, and those respective variants that are chambered in 5.56. So the way I see it is this: I don't think one platform would be able to trump over the other simply in that regard, because you can find weapons that are chambered in either round. Now personally, I find the statement of the 5.56 being better than the 7.62 round to be relatively true. Up close, you won't really see much of a difference between these two when you're shooting at a paper target at, say, 50-ish yards, but when you really push the distance, and depending on the barrel length of, say, the 5.56, you will see that the 5.56 round will generally not have as much bullet drop-off and deviation as, say, the heavier 7.62 round. In regards to physical damage, I've noticed that the AK definitely performs well in delivering that heavy 7.62 ball round with very high energy on an up-close target. But when it comes to defeating body armor, high velocity is key to defeating it, which makes the 5.56 very good for this role. So with my general conclusion, either platform definitely works fine if it's chambered in the 5.56 round over the 7.62 round, but the 7.62 round is definitely not to be underestimated. Golly. Sorry about that, guys. We had to change some locations because the sun was beating down on us pretty hard and then the equipment was failing. Where were we? Oh yeah, let's talk about reliability. Let's not kid ourselves and pretend like these weapons haven't performed remarkably well in combat conditions. After all, they would have never been adopted by their respective militaries, with the exception of the SIG P320, unless you count unholstering your weapon as a combat condition. Anyway, let's start with the AR. Eugene Stoner absolutely revolutionized firearm technology by creating a design that's made out of aircraft-grade aluminum that is simple and functioning. During the Vietnam War, the US military needed an answer to the AK-47 and needed to replace its outdated M14 battle rifle. Its answer was Eugene Stoner's Armalite AR-15, and it was proven to be simple, durable, but more importantly, reliable during test trials. Now, in all fairness, there were some complications with the weapon in Vietnam, but I'm really not going to get into that. Its simple tubular upper receiver design and its lower receiver construction allowed it to be able to be modular, easy to disassemble, and most importantly, for easy mass production. Its operating mechanism uses a gas impingement system with a rotating bolt and locking lugs, and its tight tolerances and dust cover keep debris out of the weapon system, making it very sealed from the elements. In the years following the Vietnam War, the US military would modernize its AR-15 counterpart, the M16, to fit the needs of modern warfare, like adopting the M4 carbine. The AR-15 platform in general would be a staple amongst gun owners in the United States. Let's turn our focus on the AK. Mikhail Kalashnikov designed this weapon from the ground up to be a very rugged, reliable, and versatile weapon platform. Its operating system uses a long-stroke gas piston system with a rotating bolt and uses a stamped sheet metal receiver with wood furniture to offset the manufacturing costs of mass production, if we're strictly talking about the AKM. The rigorous testing process that the Soviet Union put this weapon through in 1947 was absolutely enormous. It was tested in every corner of the Russian territory, exposed to all kinds of weather conditions. Whether or not they threw this thing in sand, water, or mud, or even put it through freezing and humid conditions, it displayed a remarkable tenacity to be able to function even in the worst conditions of abuse. Ever since it was fielded and adopted in 1949, this weapon has seen action on every corner of the globe as a reliable fighting rifle, and it has progressively modernized since then. I think personally, the conclusion that I come to is that both of these weapons have a very high reputation for reliability, but just because they are known for being reliable does not mean that they were built to the right spec to maintain that reliability. What I mean by that is that manufacturers are going to assume you don't know the difference between the tolerances and specs that are needed to be met in order to have a military issued rifle. Civilian spec is very different from military spec, so make sure that you do your due diligence and research into the build quality of their tolerances and materials used in building said weapons to make sure you get the best out of either platform. Alright, let's talk modularity. If you live in the United States, this is going to kind of be an obvious one. Let's start with the AR. I think it's pretty obvious that the AR-15 is by far the most modular weapon system on the US market, no question. You can literally replace pretty much any conceivable part on this weapon with readily available parts. Because AR-15s are built to a mil-spec standard, things like barrels, bolts, triggers, and furniture are easily replaceable with most brands of AR-15 manufacturers. You can build your AR platform to any conceivable situation, whether it be hunting, competition, defense, doesn't matter. You are only limited to what you can afford. Let's talk about the AK. Back in the day when early imported AKs started to flood the market, they were very limited in design due to the fact that most of them were basic AKMs like this one, and we had a hard time importing Russian hardware due to import restrictions and embargoes. It also doesn't help that AKs didn't really have much of a big market here until the last 15-ish years when manufacturers started to build them for domestic sale to civilians. Regardless of all of that though, the AK platform does still have access to more modernized upgrades, like Picatinny dust covers and handguards, along with dovetail side rail mounts for optics. And depending on the AK variant, you might have a very modernized AK platform. That's also why I wanted to elaborate earlier that I didn't want to hold the M4 carbine over this more dated AKM design. There is no denying that it is harder to upgrade an AK than it is to upgrade an AR, mostly due to the fact that not every AK is built to the same tolerance and spec, especially if they come from different manufacturers or if they're variants from different countries. Regardless of all that though, I think domestic US manufacturers can definitely catch up to solve that issue. Now that we reached towards the end of the video, tell me your thoughts in the comment section as to which weapon platform is the right one for you and why. Because personally, I love both and I swing both ways, unlike Brandon. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out my Patreon if you want to help this channel out. And check out my Instagram profile at RobertArmsOfficial for any updates regarding the channel. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, stay safe, and I hope to see y'all in the next video.